There's no judgment in Montana. Now, to be fair, there's not much of anything in Montana. But the fact that there's no judgment there has always made it a very comfortable, natural place for me. To fully understand what Montana means to me, I need to explain to you how I was before Brooks and before I really understood its importance to my life. My relationship with judgment goes back to my middle school, Brookwood. Middle school was a strange time for everyone, as I'm sure we can all agree. I basically did whatever I wanted and put little to no thought into how I would look in the eyes of others. I would regularly get in trouble for walking the hallways with no shoes on. I also had an awkwardly large sweatshirt that said, "Cupid Psycho," that I would wear every day with the same headband and side pony that makes me cringe. But come on, ladies, we all tried the side pony at one point. I was impulsive, loud, but most importantly, I was wildly busy, all the time. When I wasn't out making people feel uncomfortable, I was basically doing every extracurricular activity available to me. I never considered myself very book smart, or maybe it was just my lack of interest in academics, but I excelled in most areas. I loved art, music, and sports. I was in 3 bands and 1 a cappella group, in the art club, on the lacrosse team, the basketball team, and the captain of the soccer team. Outside of school, I was on 2 other soccer teams. I was constantly doing something. Back then, I thought I hated being busy and that I hated soccer. I would regularly put up signs all around my house that said, "I hate Aztec," the club I was on, thinking that would somehow make my situation better. One time, my mom invited over a mother of one of my teammates, and I had just recently made my nightly rounds of hanging up my signs. Needless to say, it was pretty awkward for a while. Sorry, Mom. As I got older, soccer began to consume more and more of my time, which only piled onto the other things I was doing. I would get to school an hour early every day for band and stay for an hour after school for practice. I like to do a lot of things, and I like to try and do them perfectly. Things didn't go the way I planned. I never really knew what to do with myself. I can think of a few times where I narrowly avoided public humiliation, or when I found myself right in the middle of it. Our 8th grade play was Aladdin, and I, as Jasmine, managed to almost get thrown off the stage on our magic carpet, which was just a box on wheels with a carpet on top, by Brooks's very own Kevin Barry, sitting right there. I also got my wedding veil stuck on a prop and couldn't move, and someone somehow set off the fire alarm in the middle of the play, yet we kept going and proceeded to get in trouble with the fire department. Something went wrong all 3 nights we performed, but I still consider it one of my biggest accomplishments. I didn't feel embarrassment or regret after the curtains closed because I was so comfortable in my own skin at that point in my life. I had no idea how to act coming to high school. I hate change. My life has been pretty constant. I've lived in the same house I was born in and was at the same school since kindergarten. I grew up knowing people in my town and having a few of them with me at Brookwood. Integration into new settings was terrifying to me, and I'm sure a lot of you felt the same way. But if you knew me at all freshman year, I didn't speak. As prep camp for soccer closed in on my summer, I began to panic. My wardrobe consisted of unnecessarily tight Abercrombie collared shirts and khakis, and about 10 blazers my mom bought thinking it was part of the dress code that year. I came into prep camp knowing a few people, which helped me a lot. Pike and Brookwood had a pen pal program in 5th grade. It turns out my pen pal, Olivia Papapetros, was going to be on the Brooks soccer team. I also had known Andrea Scarfo from my club soccer team for a few years, and Anna Trusty from Wenham. Anna reached out to me a few months before school started. She chatted me on Facebook asking if I would do her nails when we got to Brooks, because I was really into nail art at the time. I'm embarrassed for both of us. I found comfort in her as well as Andrea and Olivia, but I confided mostly in Andrea because I knew her best. Other than some small talk here and there, I barely spoke to anyone else. I mostly didn't speak because I was terrified of the older girls on the team and didn't want to say something and embarrass myself. I literally was silent for 95% of prep camp. I wasn't confident with my social skills, so I focused on proving myself through soccer. Soccer is another comfortable aspect of my life. I've been playing since I was 5, and I feel confident playing. Before I played club soccer, I was coached by my dad and my town team. I loved that team, but there came a time when I had to quit and move forward and join a club team, and that was definitely tough for me. Another change, another new group of people, another almost year of silence and discomfort. Going into the summer after my freshman year, I had a newfound feeling of confidence. Soccer season had gone very well. We won the New England Class A championship, and I was very ready to get back into it sophomore year. I had found my place where I felt like I belonged, and I was ready to concentrate myself in that area. I now identified myself as just a soccer player. I guess I was part of this singing group, the Serendipities. We never really met and started to drift apart by the end of the year, but that didn't really bother me that much. I wasn't, and I'm still not confident with my singing, so cutting that out of my life meant less stress. Why stress myself with something else? With soccer on my mind, we headed off to the small town of Greeno in Montana to stay at a dude ranch. We'd been going there for about 7 years prior at the same time every summer. That summer, I went out by myself for a week, and I had the most fun I'd ever had there. I stayed with the owner of the ranch's daughter in their damp, dark basement. We would wake up at 6 every morning and head to the horse corral and help out wherever anyone needed it. That summer, I decided that when I turned 18, I would spend my whole summer there as a cabin girl and clean cabins. It seemed like the perfect job. I would do it even if I didn't get paid. I liked it that much. I felt so comfortable and in my element, something that I had lacked in my life. The ranch has always been a very important place to me. There's no place like it. That being said, I'm not a world traveler, so maybe I don't know. But out of the places I have traveled, I've never been to a place that's so serene. Everything is calm, and without even meaning to, I'm humbled when I'm there. There's something about standing next to a mountain in the way it makes you feel. Maybe you're scared, maybe you're empowered, but the overpowering emotion I feel is respect. Respect for how little everything else is compared to it, for how little I am compared to it. My parents have always taught me to be humble, and I'm thankful for that. Coming to a boarding school, I found myself losing perspective on things and other people's situations, and ultimately forgetting to be humble. Montana would always bring me back down to earth and help me maintain my ego. This past summer, I was packing my things for our trip to Montana. I was excited because we hadn't gotten the chance to go, mostly because of the amount of soccer I had. Finally, I was going back, and I felt like I really needed this trip to clear my mind and, in fear of sounding too philosophical, find out what I really wanted. I had been feeling very indecisive and lost. My days felt monotonous, and I didn't really know why. Maybe with summer dwindling and senior year fastly approaching, I was ready to get back to school. But I felt like it was something more than just that, because I hadn't really felt strong emotions in a while. No extreme excitement, no extreme sadness, just flat. I didn't know if I would ever find out why, but I knew going to Montana would help me in some way. We had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to head to the airport, so I got in bed around 11 and tried to fall asleep when I got a call from my roommate, Chatham Moss. We didn't go to Montana that summer. Instead of finding myself, I felt more lost than I ever had before. Going into senior year, I had no idea what to expect. I'm confident that no one did. Soccer started, and prep camp went by painfully slowly. So did preseason. The AKT patches were sewn onto the right sleeves of our jerseys, and they felt heavy. I could feel it even when I wasn't thinking about it. Soccer wasn't the same. School wasn't the same. Another change. I hated change, more than ever. The rest of the year almost blew by. The winter passed, and I watched people I care about get in trouble. But no one really talked about it. Days felt slow, but they started to add up. By the end of the year, I was no stranger to change. I guess being exposed to so many changes, some chosen, some not, has forced me to get used to it, to accept it, and to realize that all those things I thought I was worried about were nothing compared to the things I might not even consider happen. But those things happened anyways. And while it's been tough, it's also been freeing for me. It reminded me that maybe I shouldn't spend all this time worried about people's judgment or perceptions or thoughts about me. We've all seen Anna's quote about living every day like it's your last. It's taken a little time, but maybe it's sinking in for me. Maybe it's time to get back to being that girl who didn't care when she almost got thrown off a stage, the girl who used to get in trouble for not wearing shoes in school, or the girl who used to sing, even if I was scared to. So, I'm gonna be singing Southern Girl by Amos Lee. Now.